Hi, and welcome to this week's vlog where I'm inspired by another teacher's online tutorial. My art surprises me with the addition of a painting in the room, and here's a story of what it has to say. 20 years ago, my acupuncturist and wise friend walked into the room where I laid face down waiting for her, and she said brightly, "Look at all the pretty energies." I burst out crying. I was dealing with physical body pain manifesting in my lower back and hip, and I was mired in some strong, dark emotions in my family of origin. Her comment was completely lost on my conscious self at the time, but it touched an unknown part of me that I would spend many years uncovering and healing. I was not surprised this week when the water bearer showed up in this artwork, in the painting, symbolizing for me the sometimes extreme emotional waters I have learned to dwell in and feel compelled to talk about sometimes here on this channel. For years I felt at their mercy, riding on their highs like on a big wave, only to be slammed when it crashed down. On both ends, I was definitely their victim. I could never trust the highs, and I came to expect the lows. These days, I feel more at home picturing myself in the calm of the deep sea, sitting there quietly in the dark waters compared to the tumultuous surface. Thank goodness and thank grace. How this relates to art is how I see creativity as a life preserver, or rather, more like an unexpected buoy that teaches me how to move in rhythm with the ups and downs. It's one of the reasons why I feel passionate about creating art, and I love to encourage anyone who will listen to give it a try. As you may know, I've been obsessed with painting rooms as of late. This level of enthusiasm, however, always ushers in some dark forces for me that ask for some acknowledgement. Fortunately, there are ways to handle them constructively, which I did this week, and it's what I want to pass on to you. The feeling of making childlike art has been pretty blissful and has brought with it some mental commentary and its associated emotions that tell me that I just need to be better at it, that I've had my fun, and now it's time to be a grown-up and paint like a real artist. I hear this in my head like she's the head of the art department of some exclusive art program at a private university. Does this happen to you? It can feel like something inside is really determined to take your happiness away. I used to want to crawl out of my skin, rebel by being even messier with my art, or I'd stop making art altogether, which is a form of sabotage. So here's what I did this time. I said, okay, fine, let's be better. There's a part of me that doesn't feel like she's good enough at art, at life, at mothering, at wifing, you name it. And I try to love her up as much as possible. She's not in that tender place as much these days as she used to be, which is a relief. So I thought, okay, let's indulge this head of art department person and just see where this goes. So I did a Google search, how to depict a room in an artwork with acrylics. And the first thing that came up was a step-by-step tutorial from Will Kemp Art School. It turns out he has a very successful YouTube channel you should subscribe to. I did because he's not only a gifted artist, he is very generous with his knowledge. He has a British accent, which I love. He exudes authority and confidence and kindness, and I thought he could probably head up an art program at a prestigious school if he wanted to. Perfect. So here's the art I made based on his tutorial. The link is here and in the description below. I had intended to make my art as much like his as I could, but the water bearer showed up unexpectedly in the painting on the wall. And since I was saying yes, I just rolled with it. My husband liked it, but I told him that it didn't work compositionally because by adding the water bearer, I wasn't following the rule of thirds, to which he replied, "But I like it." In the past, I would have left it alone because what other people thought was more important than what I thought. And this was an exercise in acknowledging the part that wants to be better. So I painted over what I did. It was a little painful. Here's the thumbnail sketch of how I changed the composition and placed the water bearer where I thought she should be, at the intersection of the points. This required me to rotate the painting. Because I've been loving painting my background in red for childlike art, I went for it again, and when it was done, my husband again said he really liked it. But the voice from before said emphatically, no, it's not right. And once again, I painted over it. But interestingly for me, this time I was much more detached. In fact, I felt a lot of satisfaction in destroying what I'd made. By this point, an interesting thing happened for me. My confidence increased, and that same voice seemed to soften. It's tight, she said. Maybe it needs to be a little looser and brighter. And I thought, okay, I can do that. I can paint more like a child. And somehow it felt like these two sides of me were meeting somewhere in the middle, like they'd settled on something. And then I got this vision of the professor sitting awkwardly on a beach in a tartan skirt, sipping an espresso, watching the kid in me riding the wave. And then when it was done, it felt done, and something inside said, see, I was right. And I think what I'm learning is to be in the flow of me, to not be so afraid of my different aspects. There's space for all the emotions. Certainly there's love enough for them all. We're the vessel for all of it. That's what it comes down to. I hope you have a great week. Thanks so much for watching, and happy creating.